Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So in today's video, as you can tell by the title, we will be talking about a very large storm system that will be taking shape across the really eastern United States. It will be affecting quite a bit of people, and yes, in today's video I will be focusing kind of on that storm in particular, so I won't be focusing too much on the western United States or even the central United States. It's more of the east, the northeast, and southeastern Canada, and that's not because of bias, it's just where, again, this system is occurring. But I will be mentioning a few things about the West and kind of the whole entire United States towards the end of the video regarding the pattern and why it may be getting pretty active as you head toward December, and kind of right now maybe, if you will, the calm before the storm. Even though, yes, we are talking about a storm, this one probably will pale in comparison to some of the ones we will be seeing in early December. That's at least what I'm thinking. And I do want to say that this one, it won't be a snowstorm for most people across, say, the United States area. Where I do have a lot of viewers across southern Canada, and for you, it may be more of a snow system, a snowstorm, if you will. A winter storm could be dropping quite a bit of snow. But again, if you live across the northeast, the coastal cities, and you're watching this video thinking that based off the thumbnail, you will be seeing snow, I'm just going to say it right off the bat. I don't want to lure you into a waste of time or whatever. You will get impacted by winds and strong winds and heavy rain, just not snow. But there will be some lake effect, and that will be impacting kind of the areas in the lake belt. So let me just show you this again. And before we do get into this, if you guys do enjoy these type of videos, I do want to say that if you could subscribe. Obviously, don't do it just because I told you so. I think it's pretty useless when people do that. It's just, subscribe because I told you so. Watch the video, check out the channel. I'm just kind of reminding you at the beginning of the video. And you could also leave a like if you do enjoy them. And if you have any comments or concerns, leave them down below. I usually get to most comments if, I answer any. Unless it's a really busy night, I answer like none. But in most videos, I answer every single one. Alright, let's start talking about this. So first off, I want to show you the GFS. And this system is going to be very, very, very quick to develop. I mean, with the snap of fingers, we're obviously not in real time, but in terms of viewing this at a relative 6-hour interval, where I guess speed, it is a very quick, right there, boom, there it is. And that's pretty much it, and then it's gone. While there were earlier talks and discussions, even in my last video, that this system could be a bit stronger and more developed as it kind of gets on the eastern flank of that trough and rides up more of the eastern United States for a prolonged period of time, potentially into Friday and Saturday of next week. So yes, a very prolonged system that at this point is most likely not going to happen. And I guess that less complicates things, right? Because that would be a system that is just there and there and there, and it's just really just doesn't want to leave. At least there's that much to the story. So I guess it's not as exciting in the meteorological sense, right? But in terms of forecasting it, it's a lot easier. So I think that helps out quite a bit. And I do want to say that behind this system, there will be quite a bit of chilly air. Now, this won't be, a polar invasion of negative degree temperatures for a good portion of the United States or Canada. There will be some very chilly temperatures, and I think it will be the chilliest for many of the year. But again, nothing extraordinary, but usually the first ones of the year, I mean, a 4 degree, say, Fahrenheit here in Chicago in late January. Yes, it's cold, but, the first 20 degrees in November honestly feels colder. So it's just one of those effects. It's obviously not colder, but it just feels that way. It's, not even accounting for wind. It's just fall's been warm, summer's been warm, and now it's finally getting cold. Let's go over this system again. Look at this. So there is our trough of cold air. Notice how it's kind of a spearhead, right? We have a spearhead of these blue lines, and that indicates basically there's cold air, and it's rushing in pretty quickly. Now, what we have is this little disturbance on the eastern flank of this trough, and what that does is, well, basically by itself, nothing. However, there's a lot of moisture that is being currently blown into the eastern United States as I record this video, and this is because of a high pressure. Again, it's pumping in that moisture from the Gulf of Mexico, and all we have to do is wait for this to continue diving to the south and inevitable picking up of the moisture from this little disturbance. And again, we have a lot of cold air because that's where the disturbance kind of lies on top of, and that's why there will be some snow, right? That's how snow forms, precip and cold air. Now, as I push this forward, look what happens. This is Sunday at 12 p.m. So tomorrow you may be logging on, checking the radar. Yes, you see an area of precip across the central United States, dropping some rain showers. You do see some light snow across the upper Midwest and southern Canada, but overall, nothing too extraordinary, right? Well, 6 hours later, honestly, 12 hours later, you have a full-blown system. It's pretty strong. The winds are pretty pretty intense. We have very chilly air occurring across the upper Midwest into southern Canada. We have a large area of unorganized precip on the rainy side of things, and we do have quite a potent amount of snow across southern Canada, really, affecting cities like Sault Ste. Marie, maybe Thunder Bay on the other side of Lake Superior, though really not delivering the heaviest of snow, just clips your area if you live across the Thunder Bay, or I guess metro. Notice northern Michigan does get clipped by some of the system snow, and then of course the lake effect from obviously Lake Superior and Lake Michigan. Some of those bands may be even connected at one point because of how, or I guess, prolonged that fetch may be. Again, I wouldn't say anything historic or unusual, but again, another lake effect snow, which we have seen already a few of. So again, just to display, this is 12 p.m. tomorrow. This is 6 p.m. Within that time frame, there's already a lot of explosion in terms of strength of that system and the precip and disturbance for travelers. Right, Thanksgiving week is very busy. And then look, by Monday morning, we do have that precip still occurring across the Northeast. We do have snow for, say, Northeast New England, right? And I think that that's really not unusual for cities like potentially Buffalo, Rochester, seeing some snow. Nothing significant, not a snowstorm for you, but definitely north of you there is a system raging, and south of you there is quite a bit of that rain. And notice that Maine, especially the further in south, and the south and east, really the far eastern tip of Maine, you could be seeing quite a bit of that precipitation. We're meaning quite a lot, and that would be mainly in the form of rain. There could be some snow on the backside. Notice you do have some pretty heavy snow occurring into cities that usually, I guess, not often see the heaviest of the lake effect. Cities like Toronto would be impacted by this potentially. Or again, not really the U.S., right? But I don't just forecast for the United States. I also do Canada. I always have to remind people because it seems everyone forgets. And then notice that this trough, it doesn't dive way down into the United States. If you recall a couple of days ago, we were talking about how if it does that, then this second eastern flank, if you will, of this trough, right, it would be positioned more across New England, versus now it's going to be more offshore. And it was thought that earlier there could be just waves of precip riding along this northeast kind of corridor, dropping snow and rain, again, all the way through most of next week. But again, at this point, it seems like that flank you could see moved way further towards the east, while yes, there will be some heavy snow across northern tips of Maine and into much of southern southeastern Canada. It's a lot more quicker and progressive, and again, it's really offshore for a lot of areas, but you could see that cold front develops into a very, very powerful, I guess, precip mass. It's truly powerful. And look at the lake effect. It develops into one kind of singular band, again, just at this point, just northeast of, just northeast of Toronto, but it is affecting, the snow belt areas, if you will. And then at this point, that thing moves out. You can see that there is some development, but it's really out of our viewing area of that precip. And you can see that it's hanging on right there, but again, not enough to really cause much of an issue for the Northeast. Right, and let's go back and check at those precipitation amounts, total accumulated precip, and let's go back a few hours so we don't have that next Thursday's system, which I'll be making a video on soon. Calculated into the total precip. So you could see that there is obviously a lot up here that would be falling as snow where the lake effect occurs. There's quite a bit, and across the Northeast. Now again, I think these amounts are rather conservative. There are quite a few models that show some heavier amounts in terms of total snowfall. Right there you can see definitely some decent amounts across southeastern Canada, though again the GFS is probably one of the lighter scenarios with this event. Let's take a look at the Canadian. You could see that there are some heavier amounts, especially where the lake effect may be occurring, and something tells me that some of the snow across Minnesota and into Wisconsin and the UP of Michigan maybe a bit more significant, if you will. Even though again this doesn't look too impressive, I think that little wave tomorrow maybe a little bit of a surprise for a lot of people, especially since it will be sticking, that snowfall, wherever that first part of that storm occurs. And if you forgot what I'm talking about, I'm talking about this little guy right here before it connects to that precipitation. It will be very cold. It won't be just like wet snow, not accumulating. It will be probably blowing around on the streets or wherever on the country roads, the forest areas, wherever it is occurring. And that makes a world of a difference, because if it's just melting, it takes a lot for it to accumulate. If it's very dry, then it really doesn't. And notice as I push this forward again, the Canadian also connects those those two systems a bit earlier on, so there is a bit more precipitation across the northeast with it, a bit more snow for southern Canada, and you can see that thing does intensify into a monster as it pushes off the coast, but it is pretty well off the coast by the time that happens. And yeah, that's pretty much a story from this system. Notice we do have some warm air moving into portions of the Midwest and kind of eastern United States by the Thanksgiving, just before the Thanksgiving time frame. Let's take a look at the total accumulated precipitation, and notice that again, it's very heavy right off the coast, but on the actual northeast, it's not too impressive with this model. And total snowfall amounts, again, the Canadian shows are a bit more impressive. Let's take a look at a few high-res models. They go out to 84 hours. But they show the most extent of this. You can see NAM shows decent snowfall accumulations. Your NAM 3 km, a bit more high res, doesn't go out as far, only up to 60 hours. So again, doesn't show the full extent of the storm, if you will. But well, in this case, it actually takes it off pretty quickly. But again, there you have the lake effect band still impacting portions of the northeast. HRDPS, you can see this model is a high res that only goes out to 48 hours. You can see that this system is strong, right? It's just very quick, and that's why I guess it doesn't have that enough time to produce those previously thought larger amounts of rain and snow. The lake effect is still pretty powerful, though. And again, I think what will surprise a lot of folks with this system is the relatively cold air. And let me just go back to the NAM 12K, which we were looking at earlier, and let me show you the 2-meter temperature shaded. So the actual Fahrenheit. So choose your location. I will zoom in on this so you guys can have a better kind of look at this, right? And let me show you right there. Boom. All right. So this is 4 a.m. November 21st. So this is Sunday morning, and this is assuming Central Standard Time. So add an hour if you're across the Eastern Time Zone. If you're across the West or Central, take an hour or two away, respectively. So notice that during the day tomorrow, it is warming across much of kind of Illinois, Iowa, not really Iowa, Missouri, but just to the north, right? Cities like Minneapolis, St. Paul, Duluth, they're in a whole different world, and that world comes down onto the southern kind of states relative to Minnesota, and where the cold air is during the day tomorrow. And you can see that we do see a lot of cold air. Again, it's a brief shock of cold air. You could see Chicago potentially in the 20s, Indianapolis maybe 28, 27, same with Ohio, Detroit, and Duluth, right? The Twin Cities in the teens, maybe the single digits as far as the Canadian border, which again isn't anything legendary, but it definitely is chilly. I think might be the chilliest one of the year for those areas. I'm not too sure, as it seems as if the cooler air will be kind of displaced a bit further towards the south in terms of kind of from average. So, and yeah, I think there was a bit of cooler air across these locations after that snowstorm occurred there a few weeks back. Notice how this ends up affecting everyone. On Tuesday, all across the eastern seaboard, frost freezes. If you haven't had yours yet, this one will probably get you there, if not very close to it. Maybe just a few of the coastal areas like Long Island getting just right above the freezing mark, not directly into it, if you will. And yes, we have a lot of chilly temperatures, and again, you know, another day of cold for the Midwest and Northeast and Southeastern Canada. And then notice by Tuesday and Wednesday we do see a warming trend, right? Just barely freezing during the day or during the morning hours on Wednesday. So, but still pretty darn chilly for actually, look at that, Northeast, Massachusetts right there, Maine. So that's definitely something to point out. So that's a brief rundown of the temperatures. Again, if you have snow, that will obviously be a bit cooler because of the snowpack. Let me show you the European model, another great model that shows us the precipitation and some of those temperatures. But I think I'll just show you the precipitation forecast with this model because it's a bit more appropriate for that, and it's not high res enough to show you the temperatures, and I already did that with the other model. Notice there's a little system, again, probably dropping a bit of snow into Minnesota or St. Paul. Again, it's pretty moisture starved, but sometimes these systems tend to overperform, but at the same time, you know, just because I said that doesn't mean it will, so it's a bit of a tough call. But notice that, again, it does develop into that precip maker for the Northeast. It's a pretty windy system. Again, which is why it brings a lot of that cold air so successfully down to the relatively further south areas, and you can see that that's pretty much the end of it. So yes, a system that earlier on in the week showed much more potential than what we are looking at right now. Still a pretty intense system, you know, quite a bit of rain, a bit of snow. Definitely a kind of more of a unique setup, and again, the total accumulated precip really not as impressive as previously thought. You can see a lot of it staying off the shore, but again, you know, that was previously thought to be a bit closer. There could be quite a bit across the south that is a bit more, I guess, reasonably high, right? In terms of total snowfall, that is a bit more impressive because it doesn't take as much precip to create snow, and you can see that there definitely are some decent amounts across Quebec. So for my viewers here, Central Ontario, definitely getting some snow as well. I do want to say that for the lake effect areas, you know, the European model is a pretty poor model to look at, but they will be active in a pretty big way. And again, this model shows, you can see some isolated 7-8 inch amounts, and it will be a pretty northwestward flow of air, not really west or north, but a pretty one that's, I guess I would say, more north than west. But it's pretty much straight, just diagonal, kind of northwest, the perfect way to describe it. So again, those usually aren't the most productive lake effect snow events for, say, Erie or Ontario, but they definitely could produce a bit. Definitely a bit more productive for the shores off of Superior and Huron. I don't really know which one's kind of the best lake effect model, to be honest. I usually just look at a plethora of different ones, and you can see that these different ones all show different things. But again, lake effect, it's very hard to exactly forecast accurately. And again, these only go out to 60 hours, so it doesn't show the full extent. But you can see right there, I mean, you get stuck on one of those things and, you know, 10 inches is definitely a possibility across some of these areas. Now, let me show you what a very high-res model. This is the HER model, so, you know, it goes out not far out, but it sacrifices kind of its short-term, I guess, commitment to its accuracy. At least that's what we kind of hope it does, and it's not always the case, but, you know, it usually is more accurate than, say, European about these smaller events. And let's see what it shows in terms of this system, and it's kind of a Precip layout. So I won't show the full extent. Actually, I'm not sure exactly, but okay. So this is tomorrow morning around the time of 6-7 a.m. You're gonna notice we do have a bit of light snow across Minnesota and into Wisconsin. Really just the northern areas, the HER model is showing that, and into Michigan, the UP. Notice it's a lot of the cold air behind it. That's going to hit a lot of folks. They're kind of straight in the face. We do have that warm side of it. Again, some decent rainfall, but again, relatively quick moving and doesn't have much time to organize itself. The lake effect definitely going kind of full force, if you will, on those shores. I want to show you the RAP, another high res. That goes out to 50 hours, and right there you can see it shows a bit more of that snow, maybe into the, even just touching, you know, the Green Bay area. And yeah, we'll have to wait and see how this occurs exactly, or, you know, maybe a bit more or less aggressive depending on which model you look at. But you can see definitely this thing is just absolutely potent, and if this were to be just a bit closer towards the shore, there may be a bit more influence, and, you know, that's still a possibility at this point, though it's a waning one. And so yeah, if you got discouraged by seeing this system, you know, not the biggest, not the baddest, I do want to quickly say that there is a big threat for a Thanksgiving one. Now, the models for the three main models, Canadian, European, and GFS, have all trended towards a non-strong one, a weak one. But this is definitely something to watch. So notice, this is Thursday, right, Thanksgiving, and we have a cold, a kind of a shot of air right there, a lot of moisture coming from the south. According to this model, they don't really connect up until they reach the northeast, which they still do produce quite a bit of snow. They're just, again, some models, I was looking at the GFS ensembles, there's a lot of scenarios. Some, you know, show a large Midwest, just chunky system. Some, again, show just a disconnected guy. So this is definitely something to watch for. I wouldn't say it's confident enough to, you know, really make any claim about it, but it's definitely something to watch for that may look pretty miserable if you were to just look at this model, and you may kind of discontinue it. And after that system, even, you know, whatever happens to it, it still looks active, the pattern, where you can see more of the western United States potentially getting action. And I do want to show you the 3 to 4 week outlook according to the Climate Prediction Center. It shows cooler air across the northern United States and a lot above average. So that definitely could be a spell for, you know, quite a bit more snow and what's not. So I think that's definitely a potential that we have to watch for. And notice, again, this is far out, 4th through the 17th. We'll have to see. These aren't always accurate. Hopefully this time they are. But again, it's not always the case. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all on the next episode. See ya. Bye.